everyone, my name is Kat.
And I'm Jaymielee.
And this is Couchtalk with Jaymielee and Kat.
So, to tell you guys more about ourselves, me and Kat are psychology majors, and we also are Filipino American, so our experiences with, mental health growing up as an Asian American has been pretty important.
Yeah, and so we have a project for one of our psychology courses, and we thought that just kind of pulling off of our own personal experiences being in the Asian American community would be really helpful in completing our project and destigmatizing the conversation on mental health, just because mental health in the Asian American culture is kind of taboo. It's not really talked about in my experience, or really in anybody else's experience that I've heard of from a lot of our Asian American friends. So we just kind of wanted to focus on that because it's something that hit close to home. So for our topic for today is going to be anti-Asian racism and the experience of mental health in the Asian community in general. And then I'll let Jamie tell you more about the Stop Asian Hate.
Yes, so due to COVID-19 and the pandemic, there's been an increase of Asian hate crimes, specifically in California. We're focusing on California because although there has been other anti-Asian racism happening within the United States, even globally, there's just been an significant increase. So just in the state of California, anti-Asian hate crimes have jumped up to 107%, which is crazy to even think about. As well as Lunar New Year, there's been multiple attacks within the Bay Area, and the Bay Area, they're known for having a very high Asian population down there, so community and culture is super strong there, and it just makes sense to focus our research in that area.
Right, and so we'll go on and talk about all the different types of anti-Asian hate crimes and just Asian racism in general. And I think one that we'll probably start with is the elderly abuse. Yeah. That's been happening, again, specifically in California, but I know that this has happened in multiple different states. So in our culture, we respect our elders quite a lot. So, I mean,
they're our role models growing up.
Yeah. So
why would you go against them in any way or harm them in any way when they've practically raised us?
Yeah, they raised us. Elderly's
our values, our culture, everything.
And it's not like a separated thing either. I know a lot of people that I know have their grandparents are they live in a separate house. They're in a separate state or whatever. But a lot of nursing homes, or assisted living facilities. Yeah, a lot of us in the Asian community either live with our grandparents or live really close, and they helped raise us and all that kind of stuff. So we value our elders a lot. So when there was a rise in elderly abuse, elderly targeted attacks, I think that was something that was really not well received at all. No. Obviously harassment of any kind is not well received, but but I mean specifically to our elders, because I mean, not that they're helpless or anything, but it's just they're I don't know, it just kind of hit different. Yeah. When I saw
everything trending on social media, Instagram, TikTok, there were just videos of elderly people walking down the streets and then them getting pushed to the ground.
Yeah, and could you imagine you're walking down the street with your grandparent and then all of a sudden somebody jumps them. Literally. That's it. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but my grandparents, when they were still alive, they weren't super fit or anything. Yeah, they weren't able-bodied, and if somebody were to come up and push them, it's an easy attack. Yeah. It's just kind of what's the reason? Yeah. That's not okay in general, but really the elderly. But
yeah, along with the elderly abuse, they've also just random people. Let's just not random people, but just people have been targeting them, whether that be through harassment, abuse, vandalism, robbery with small businesses, which is also why would you target a small percentage of the community knowing that they can't fight back?
Yeah. And it just kind of sucks because a lot of the populations that's been attacked in specific have been the part of the population that can't fight back. Exactly. And I think that says a lot about the rise in the hate crime. They're not targeting the part of the population that would fight back, because I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, Jamie, but in our culture, I mean, the Filipino people are loud. They're prideful. You know, they will fight back.
Yeah.
For their rights, but
we put others before us.
Yeah.
Like, we're a very big community in terms of just, like, helping one another.
Right.
So, like, we will fight. We will throw hands on site.
We'll throw hands. Catchy's hands.
On site, always. So, I just think it was also interesting, just, like, even, like, kind of, like, celebrities or social media influencers weren't, I guess, showcasing or highlighting what was happening. They're kind of scared to.
Yeah, what is that about? Like, where it's just not talked about. I just feel like throughout my 21 years of life, I haven't heard much about Asian racism.
Exactly.
Or, like, Asian attacks.
And I feel like that also goes into just, like, growing up not knowing that we were actually being, like, or having, like, microaggressions, like, towards us.
Oh, for sure. And just, like, I don't know, growing up in that culture, specifically for the Filipino culture, I don't know if this is the same for any other Asian cultures, but, I mean, my mom was always, like, don't tan. Like, you need white skin. You need to act American because you live in America.
You need to assimilate to the culture of the American dream.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I mean, being half white, my mom was always like, just pretend like you are just white.
Oh.
That's it. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's part of the reason why it's not really talked about.
Yeah. I feel like it's been, like, brushed underneath the rug.
Right.
Such as our mental health.
Oh, for sure. What a good segue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I just remember growing up, like, I could not talk about mental health because my mom was like, you're just sad.
I didn't know it was a thing until probably high school.
Same. Oh, for sure. Like, I didn't know, like, mental health struggles were a thing until I was, I think, like halfway through sophomore year.
Exactly.
Just wasn't talked about.
And I felt like growing up, I wasn't able to, like, fully express myself.
Oh,
and
same.
In terms of just, like, if I was upset, like, going to my parents, I felt wrong.
Yeah, because it's like their form of, like, talking back or saying that they're doing something wrong. Like, accusing them of something. And
I also feel like it's a form of, like, tough love.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I feel like even if I were to be upset and, like, open up to my mom or to my dad, it'd be like, oh, it'll pass.
Yeah, like, you're just sad right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's not a big deal.
Just be happy. Pray more.
Yeah.
Amen.
Do well in school.
Yeah.
Get a good job, and you'll be fine in life.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, you need to focus on yourself and your health.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I remember when I, like, started to actually struggle with my mental health.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to tell my parents. Like, I had already been, like, diagnosed with anxiety and depression, like, my freshman year of college, and then I kept it from them for over 9 months, I think.
That's crazy.
Because I was like, well, they're gonna judge me, or they're just gonna tell me, I'm just sad, or, like, I just need to get used to living in college, and whatever. So when I finally did tell my mom, she looked at me and she said, you don't have anything to be depressed about. You should get a second opinion.
Oh my god.
And I was like, well, I'm already stable on my medications, so
It's crazy that you had to go out of your way for yourself.
Yeah.
In order to get the help you needed.
It was so hard because I didn't want to go to anywhere out here where we go to college, so I actually went to my hometown.
Yeah.
Which was weird. I was, like, trying to, like, be discreet and be like, yeah, I'm just getting a wellness checkup, and went to go, like, get a mental health screening. So, and I don't know if you've had any similar experiences or not, but
I feel like I've always wanted to go. I wanted to go to therapy because, like, my junior year of high school, I lost my cousin, and he was only a year older than me, and he was, like, my kuya, which is, like, older brother in, like, Tagalog. So that was, like, nowhere, like, came out of nowhere. He went to, like, my homecoming with me and my friends, and, like, we just, like, grew up together, and he was definitely just, like, an older brother figure. So when that hit, I shut down completely. I never got the help I needed. Like, my parents knew I was sad, but I was, like, flunking out of, like, all my classes junior, senior year.
Right.
I dropped out of, like, my AP classes. I just, like, was not happy at all. But they just thought I would just get over it. Yeah. And I feel like 4 years later, I still have, like, such, like, a hard time, like processing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like every year on like the anniversary day, or just like on his birthday, or just like any time of the day, like I don't not like just like think about him.
Right.
And I'm just like, if I had that help or like that resource of like my parents being more open to that, then I feel like I would have been like not as traumatized.
Yeah, like in a better place. But I mean, obviously you're never gonna not think about it on his anniversary of death.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know what I mean. Like it would just be easier to kind of like fully go through the grieving process because you probably didn't.
Yeah.
And that's probably like triggering.
I definitely was so angry, and like in Filipino culture, like everyone was raised Catholic basically.
Yeah.
Or any type of like Christian.
Yeah.
You know? So like going to church, I was like so angry. I was like, gosh, God,
like why
would you take away the most important person in my life?
Right.
I thought like good people stay in our lives for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was just like such, I don't know, it was just like it hit so much, and I guess I just like never really processed it growing up, and it still affects me now.
Yeah. And I think you like bring up a good point about us being like predominantly Catholic or Christian of some sort, because
like you seek comfort in that, but I could not find it at all, and I was like the one thing that I thought I could turn to,
right,
I felt like there was no answer to.
Oh, for sure.
Other than like he died, like suddenly, and that was it.
And then God took him away. Like, what am I supposed to like? I thought God was supposed to be forgiving, God was supposed to be merciful, stuff like that. Just what we're taught. And you're not really like prepared for grieving in the Catholic Church either, in my experience. Like you're just expected to be like, they went to heaven, hopefully. Let's have a mass for them.
Like that's when I questioned too. I was like, me being Catholic, even though I grew up Catholic, very like typical traditional Filipino.
Right.
Like I went to a private Catholic school from preschool to 8th grade, and then like,
oh my gosh,
and then like public high school. I loved public high school though. Loved it. Like, woo! I didn't have to really focus on it. Like, I'm confirmed Catholic. Like, I did all the things for myself in terms of that, because I felt like I didn't need to go to, like, a Catholic-based high school.
Right.
But here I am at, like,
a Jesuit college.
So we back at it. But
back at the Catholic life,
Yeah. But it was just, like, a crazy time in my life, because I was questioning everything. I was questioning myself, questioning my own sanity.
Right.
And it was just, like, crazy, because we were just never raised to go to anyone for help. Because I also have an issue with that.
Oh, same.
In anything. Yeah. I would rather do it myself, figure it out, go through the ups and downs,
than
ask for help.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. But also, in terms of, like, religion, I just feel like my mom, in particular, in my experience, has used that as kind of a scapegoat almost for mental health. Like,
agreed.
Oh, like, you're not depressed, you just need to pray more. That's why. You're not on the right path with God right now. And once you get back on that path, like, you'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be happy again. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like that's...
I'm like, no, yeah, easier said than done, Mom.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, no, because, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah.
But you're like, I just really need to go to church.
No, yeah, I had to clear my head.
And I've had that thought for, like, the past couple weeks, and I'm like, I need to go to church. Like,
yeah.
And I just feel like, even if I were to go to church, that wouldn't resolve anything, because what I'm dealing with right now is, like, stress and mental health based. Like, yeah, I seek comfort in God right now, because I do identify as Catholic, but it's also kind of just, like, that's also a separate thing that I need to, like, make sure that I'm...
I know, I needed to, like, distinguish the two.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't realize it until, like, honestly, recently.
Yeah, and, I mean, I guess that's probably why, like, we take the Asian racism kind of to heart.
It's just, like, a personal attack, I feel like. I don't know. Like, it was really cool to see, like, so many different, like, Asian communities come together as one.
Right.
And just, like, repost on social media. Like, sharing all these, like, different videos of, like, why this is so important to us and why it's so messed up. And it's, like, we need to get the attention we, like, deserve in terms of, like, media and, like, the news, when that's just, like, not even highlighted at all.
Right. And I think that is nice, because we do see, like, us all coming together as, like, one big community. And I think it just kind of shows that we can do that for mental health too. Like, we can do it. If we can do it for, like, anti-Asian hate, we can progress more in our conversations on mental health. Because I think that's something that does need to be kind of opened up a little bit more in the Asian community. So I just feel like this can kind of be like a gateway to it, because I know that a lot of people have been taking the anti-Asian hate like really seriously. Like personally for me, it's not like I've taken it personally. Like it's not like, I mean, it's obviously serious to me and it's like a topic that I'm passionate about, but I'm not like super affected like I know that some people are. So I feel like this is going to be a good gateway to kind of just like destigmatize the mental health, because I know a lot of people are really struggling. Especially also after COVID. Like after COVID, I know mental health issues have gone up a lot just due to isolation. So
including me.
Word.
Definitely. Like it definitely, like the pandemic itself made me focus on myself, because like what else is there to do? You're at home, you're stuck with your parents, your siblings, like
whoever you're living with,
whatever. But like it's also a time to just like focus on your mental health and what you actually need to focus on. So I just feel like mental health in general, there just needs to be a conversation. I feel like a lot of people are kind of scared to talk about how they're feeling.
No, I didn't even start feeling better. I chose to not go to therapy just because of I was in the biology program. I didn't have any time, and then I just forgot about it, to be honest. But I feel like my therapy as of the last couple of years have been talking about my mental health and my friends' mental health. Like I thrive off of conversations, like knowing that there are other people who are feeling the same way as me. Which kind of sounds weird, but I don't. I don't want people to feel the same way as me, obviously. But I mean, it's just nice to know that somebody understands. Like it's not because we come from backgrounds where like they don't understand. They show us that they don't. Like
I literally seek out in my like friendship. I talked to you about this.
Like, we're talking about
like in my relationship, my personal life, like every person who's in my life, I like thrive off of just like building that emotional connection with them, and without that I cannot connect in any way, which is so funny to me, because whatever that like I guess communication or I just confining into like my parents or like any of my family members, like whatever I was lacking growing up, I like seek out for myself personally, because I know I can get it from other people.
Oh, for sure. And I just think it's so important, because if I wasn't getting that conversation from my friends, I feel like I would be in so much darker of a place right now. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to go and like bypass my parents and like get the mental help, because one of the main things that did actually push me to go and get help was a conversation I had with one of my friends when I was feeling super down. And that's why I think like a podcast was such a good option for us, because
we're both very talkative.
And just talking about it in general just makes me feel better, and I hope that it makes other people feel better listening to us, like, having that experience. And
it's also great insight of just like having personal experiences, because then you can also kind of like relate more, and it's easier to like be like, oh, they experienced this, I have too in any way, and like it's just like cool. It's a good like ground to just like connect on something.
Like if somebody, when I like a couple of years ago had done a similar podcast talking about like specifically the Asian culture, I probably would have opened up about my mental health a little bit more, because I feel like it's just, since it's not talked about, like it's just something that you don't talk about, and if you don't talk about it, oftentimes you won't feel better, which is why like cognitive behavioral therapy works.
Literally.
But yeah, I don't know, I just think that it's so important to have a conversation, like you said.
It's just as simple as like having a conversation, which is crazy. Like as sad as it is, like as like the like anti-Asian like hate crimes and stuff, like I'm pretty sure that was just like one of like the steps in the right direction.
Like obviously we wish that it had never happened, because so many people were hurt or injured or traumatized and whatever, and I think some people might have actually been killed in some of the attacks, but which it sucks, it honestly does, and it's not something to take lightly. But I think that having this happen and then us coming together as a community and something that's kind of centered around that could be centered around mental health, I think it is such an important step for us as a community, because it opens a topic for us to talk about.
Exactly.
And it's something that we can all relate to, because it's our community that's being attacked. So yeah, I think you're totally right. And like, it's not even just in California. Like, we're from the state of Washington, and we've heard you know, attacks. Like, I had a few attacks in my hometown, so it's like so close to home. It's just unfortunate that it's like centered in California, which is why we you know, based our project off of it. But
it's just crazy. Like, it's as simple as, like, I remember going to like a grocery store. I think it was like Costco with my mom and my sister. Like, everyone was like, at this point, like the peak of COVID, of just like trying to get like toilet paper or like groceries. Like, we all wore like gloves and like obviously like doubled up on masks, but just like everyone's behavior around us,
right,
even with like masks on, obviously, but like like you could tell we were like Asian identifying,
right,
but it was just like everyone just keeping their space away from us just because of the stereotype of like Asians giving, or we were like, Asians were like the reason of why the pandemic happened, of like COVID-19,
which honestly makes me so mad, because I mean,
another thing of like stereotyping, like all Asians and just grouping us into like one little thing, like category, which is not it at all,
right? Like, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that China was to blame at all, but like, if that's what you're gonna believe, we're not Chinese.
We're not. We're Filipino.
We're
American.
Filipino. Yeah. And like,
and for them to just like assume.
Yeah.
I just thought that was like crazy.
Actually, JK, I am Chinese. But that's a separate note. But
like, you know what? You know where
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that like Asians should have been targeted at all. Yeah. Because like, what if it had been like originated in America? Yeah. We don't know for a fact where it originated. Yeah. But also, it's kind of like, what if it originated in America? Yeah. There's so many ethnicities native to America, we don't know.
Exactly. So, like, would it have been like a different
it would have been a situation. Yeah.
So that was just like crazy. It's crazy that even like that was just like a thing for a bit. Right. It still is, honestly. And like so many of like my friends and family, like my cousin, she recently moved from Washington to San Jose. So at the peak of it all during the pandemic, COVID-19, Stop Asian Hate, like she was literally at a grocery store and they were wearing the like Filipino Heritage Night Golden State Warriors jersey. Right. And they were just like harassed.
That sucks. Yeah, I hate it when it's like, go home. I mean, I don't think people realize this, but half the people who are here in America are either citizens already or they were born here. Like, just because we look Filipino identifying doesn't mean that we came from the Philippines. Like, and even if we did, like, what does it do for you to tell us to go back home? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Or like, where are you actually from?
Yeah.
Our favorite question.
Where are you actually from?
I'd be like, yeah, Washington.
Sir, I was born and raised in Washington.
I know.
So.
But like, where's your family actually from? It's just like questions
Kansas.
like that. Yeah.
Which part of my family?
Yeah.
I have a lot. Because like, being half white, like I'm passing. Honestly, I'm white passing, to be honest with you. But like, if people ask me that question, I'm like, which part of my family? Because both sides are immigrants. Yeah. My white father is an immigrant. Literally. Here, he was born in Germany. Like, tell me what do you think about that, sir? Yeah. Ma'am? Tell me, whatever you are, whatever you identify as.
Like, you're a little immigrant baby.
Yeah. Like, what's different? Yeah. What's different from my white father than my brown mother? Tell me. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, the favorite question. I love when people ask me that, only because I'm just like, what do you mean? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. They're like, well, like, where's your family from? And I'm like,
Washington.
Literally Washington. I mean, my dad's like a military brat. Like, he's been to Kansas, Colorado. Like, do you want me to name all of it? What do you want? What do you want?
For me, like, I've experienced it. It's like worse when I'm like out of the country.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've only been out of the country once.
Yeah.
So.
Like, going to Canada or like going to Mexico, they're like, but like, you're like different.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay, again, I'm white passing. I was gonna say I've never had that experience
I'm like
in Canada.
also full Filipino.
Yeah.
So like both.
Yeah.
Both my parents are Filipino.
Yeah,
But
I am not. So I count myself, which is so weird, but I do count myself lucky because I am low key white passing, unless it's the summer and I'm brown. Like because I do have the melanin. I do have the melanin.
Well,
I just don't have it in the fall and winter. So
I just think it's fun. Just like I feel like also not all Asians look alike.
No.
Not even all Filipinos don't look alike.
No.
That's why I feel like we're kind of like a wild card.
Oh yeah.
Like if you could see me and Kat, we do not look alike.
We don't look alike
at all.
Like even if I was full Filipino, we would not look alike.
No.
I guarantee you. Like if you put my mom,
we're like all different fonts.
Oh yes.
That's just how
we're
I
all
can
different Filipino fonts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like you and Kayla are like my roommate. Like
Yeah.
you guys are both full Filipino, or like Kayla and her cousin.
Yeah.
They do not look alike. Like no.
At all.
Yeah.
It's just like me and my sister don't look alike.
Neither do me and my sister.
Like it just it doesn't make sense.
Me and my brother spitting images of each other.
Love that.
But yeah, no, like it's insane. All the generalization and stereotypes. Like it's crazy. Because I've always been told to, like, because I'm white passing or because I'm half white, I don't know. I don't know that
did you,
experience.
Like growing up, did you ever have, like, those microaggressions? Like,
yes.
Of, like, you're Asian, so you're smart, right? You're good at math.
Oh, absolutely. And it's because I grew up in a predominantly white area.
Same.
So even though I was half white, like, I'm not white like them.
Yeah.
And even though I'm half Filipino, I'm not Filipino like the other kids who, because I mean, we had a few who were, I had a few Filipino friends, like maybe 2, and then a few who were of different ethnicities. But because I was half, like, I never really was, like, in a group. I was never really, I had, like, one foot in
one
each.
side.
Yeah, I was kind of both. So, the kids who were white identifying, they were always like, Kat, like, you're so smart. Like, can you help me with my math homework?
Yeah.
Or, like, the teachers would make me grade papers because I was so ahead. And they're like,
no shot.
Yeah. No, for real.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and there was, like, a running joke, like, if you need help with, like, homework, like, just ask Catherine, like, she'll help you. She's, like, super smart. She's Asian. And I'm like, I'm just smart because my parents said that my worth is based on my grades.
No. Okay, that's another thing.
Yeah.
What's it called? It's called, I can't even think about it. It's like the rewarding system.
Yeah.
Like, that was my parents' thing, too. If they're like, you can have anything in the world that you would want, and, like, we can, like, give it to you, but you need to get good grades.
Yeah.
So I feel like that also stems from, like, that stereotype. Yeah. And also, like, focusing on school 24/7, like, completely disregarded about, like, my own, like, personal mental health. Because, like, I needed to do well in order to gain my parents', like, approval.
And you know what's crazy?
Which is a big thing in Asian culture.
For me, that wasn't an exclusive event to my mom, who's Filipino. My dad was also the same way.
Oh.
So I found out early on in life it's also a Midwestern value.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, I have it from both sides. Dang, love that. So I couldn't, like, blame it on my culture either.
Yeah.
I guess I technically still could, because, like, it is like a cultural thing.
Yeah,
for us.
it is.
But
I think the biggest thing in Asian culture is, like, perfectionism.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, my dad's like, you don't have to be perfect, but
you also have to be, like, really good and on top of your game.
Right.
24/7.
But I was like, as long as you get, A's or A minuses. And my mom was like, why is it not an A? Why is it not 100? What did you get wrong? You didn't study enough.
I would literally get, like, a 94. And she's like, why not 100?
Yeah.
And I'm like, close enough, right?
Right.
And
it's still the same letter grade.
Yeah, it's literally the same.
Yeah. I heard one of my other Asian friends, Asian American friends, her mom, I don't know what ethnicity she is, but her mom was like, 100%? Like, why didn't you get extra credit?
Oh,
and I was like, what do you mean?
It wasn't
offered, man.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah. And I was
That's
like,
also
wow.
the thing. It was just like, you always want to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
And, like, that's also really, like, deteriorating to, like, one's mental health. Because, like, growing up, I was like, I can never fail. That's also one of my biggest fears is, like, failure.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, then I will never make my family or my parents happy.
It's not like actual failure. Because I remember some of my friends telling me, like, Kat, you can't complain. Like, you have straight A's. And I'm like, but it's still not good enough.
It's not good enough.
Yeah. And not to brag, but, like, I was top 10 in my class.
Yeah.
But it was a running joke in my family that, like, Catherine is always like, she's so, like, she always thinks that she's so smart, but she's not valedictorian.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, thanks, guys. But I'm top 10. Let's celebrate the win.
Yeah. like small dubs, please.
But it was, like, never enough. And so my friends would always be like, why are you so mad? Like, you're literally top 10 of our class. And I was like, I know, but it's, like, it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough.
Apparently,
it will never be enough.
Yeah, apparently it's not enough. If I wasn't number one, like, valedictorian, or if I was, like, sharing a valedictorian spot, it would be like, why weren't you the sole one?
Yeah.
Like, it's just nothing that is enough. Like, I know that my parents are proud of me. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I know that they're proud of me. It's just the amount of pushing was kind of
I was gonna say, I think the pushing kind of, like, reaches a certain point and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I cannot stand this.
Yeah, and you're like, dang, I need to, like, have a break. And so when I got to college and I started getting, like, C's and B's, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not meant for college. Like, I have to drop out. Like, this is not meant for me. Like, what if I'm just not as smart as I thought?
Yeah.
Because that's, like, the mentality I was raised with.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't be too cocky. You're probably not as smart as you think.
Yeah.
So.
It's also, like, what is it? Is it imposter syndrome?
Sure.
I'm just, like, you don't really think you're, like, that good.
Yeah.
Of, like, your own abilities, but you really are.
Yeah.
Like, you're just always, like, self-doubting yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, in high school, I've always felt trapped in my house.
Word. Yeah.
And, like, that was probably, like, the peak of, like, how bad my mental health was. Right as I moved back to campus, like, this year, I was just, like, thriving.
Yeah.
Because I'm just, like, as much as I love my parents, they provide everything for me, roof over my head, food on the table. It was just so toxic to the point where I was just, like, I need my own space. I need to learn how to be independent.
Right.
And, I don't know. I just, like, because my parents are, like, immigrants, they just, like, want to keep on giving, which is also another thing of just, like, Asian culture, just, like, we just want you to, like, survive, basically. Yeah. This, like, survival mentality.
Right.
But it's also, like, I never had to learn for myself because it was always, like, given to me.
Yeah.
Which was also, like, a privilege. Well, not, like, I'm admitting that. Like, it's a privilege, but
absolutely.
It's also, like, there's so many different, like, things, like, factors that aren't really a privilege when it comes to that.
Yeah. For sure. I don't know. It's, like, I think a big part of, like, why the college experience has been so freeing is getting away, like, learning that I don't need to be perfect to succeed. Because, I mean, now that I've switched to psychology, like, I mean, I'm not getting perfect grades. Yeah. But I'm happy. Exactly. And I found a career path that I, like, can actually see myself being actually happy in. And successful. And growing into. And oddly enough, it's a career that growing up I didn't think was real. Because mental health was not talked about. It's
not a thing.
So I didn't, like, I was so set on being a pediatrician when I was, like, 12.
Also very typical Filipino, like, expectations of, like, being in the medical field.
Doctor, nurse, whatever. Yeah. And I remember when I switched, my mom was, like, sad. She's like, oh, so you're not going to be a doctor anymore. Why don't you go to nursing instead? And I'm like, because that's not going to make me happy. Yeah. And I'm not, so I'm not good at it. Like, sadly for me, I'm not good at chemistry. Yeah. Like some other people. But I'm good at psychology and reading, social cues in the brain. And I find it fascinating, which is why I learn it so well. So
we love a psych major.
But yeah, that's why, I don't know. And I honestly, again, I would never have switched majors had I not had a conversation with my friend about my mental health. Yeah. Because until I actually got into talking about my own mental health and talking about my friends' mental health, I didn't even consider psychology as, like, a career pathway for myself. Yeah. But now that I've opened up about it, it's, like, what I like to talk about, and I like to help other people. So, yeah. It's just been, like, an important part for myself. But, yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, I think that is probably it for today. Only because
we've been chit-chatting for a bit. But I think it was just, like, good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a positive experience. Yeah. This is a good way to destigmatize, because just talking about mental health is so taboo. I feel like It's not so much right now with, I feel like Gen Z is very good at talking about their mental health.
Yeah. Which is also good because we're like very progressive as a generation.
Yeah, but I just know all the memes with, my therapist told me, I love it. I love it so much. But I think that still like having like more serious conversations about it.
Even just like the little trends and like the sounds on TikTok. Right. It's just like everyone's like experiencing the same thing, which is so funny because like your For You page on TikTok is curated to like for you, but everyone in the comment section is like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only person thinking this,
right?
And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, no way, like me too. And it's so funny because again it builds like that community, and just like destigmatizing mental health,
right? Like I feel like mental health should be as regular as getting a wellness exam. That's just my personal opinion. It should be prioritized.
Yeah, it's like essential at this point in like, anyone's life.
And I think that like even if this podcast reaches 5 people, like
I'd be happy.
I hope that it helps them to know like they're not alone, and that there are resources and there are people who are feeling the same way, and you know it's not just, you know, them.
It's not just like your own battle because everyone is definitely
right. They don't have to go through it alone. Like like I'm there for you, you're there for me. We talk about our mental health all the time,
every single day.
Probably in inappropriate places, like at work, but you know, whatever.
My desk.
Me joining you at your work when I don't work with you.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But you know, it's nice to check in with your friends, check in with yourself, check in with yourself.
But yeah, and if you do want, if you're interested in mental health resources, we'll link those down below in the description box, both for Asian Pacific Islander folks as well as those just in general. Just because we focus on the Asian and Pacific Islander folks, we have a few links for them in specific, but just know that there are absolutely mental health resources for just people of all ethnicities, gender identification, sexual identifications, whichever. And we'll link some of those down below in the description box. But yeah, I think that's it for tonight's Couch Talk with Jaymielee and Kat.
It was nice talking to you guys.
Ooh. Give us a like or subscribe if you want us to do more.
Yeah, let us know. We love talking.
Yeah, and honestly, if you don't want us to do more, that's totally fine. It will not hurt our feelings.
Yeah. It won't bruise the ego. Not even a little.
No, not a little. Because honestly, we're both busy. Like, we may not even have time, but we'll make time for you if you want it.
Again, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Everything will be like linked below in the description. We'll probably have more information regarding everything we've talked about. And yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we may or may not see you next time.
Bye. Woo!